Good morning. Welcome to a wonderfully calm, if slightly slippy, Crosby. Although I think this part is actually called Hightown. Been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. Now, high tide was 10 minutes ago. It's 4:37, I believe, and we've just hit first light, so that worked quite nicely. It's 8.47 metre tide, so not quite as high as I wanted it. I came here back in 2022, and whilst I didn't dislike the images that I got, I wasn't 100% happy with them, mainly because the conditions were not ideal. Now this morning they're sort of a little bit more ideal in that I've actually got nice light. I've got no sky colour. There's a band coming up over that away, which I'm hoping will eventually put a little bit of pastel colour over here. But I'm not disheartened. It's not raining, it's not blowing a gale, and it's fairly calm, so I'm not going to get splattered in sea fret, but there is moisture in the air. I can already feel it on my tripod. I've come up to this, it's an outfall pipe. You know me and my fascination with outfall pipes. The water is just covering the horizontals. Yeah, the horizontal slats. And it's dropped, in the time I've been here, which is about 10 minutes setting up, it's dropped about, the water level's dropped about 5-6 inches. I was hoping we'd get slack tide, which would give me a little bit of breathing space. But I quite like that. It's a nice, straightforward, simple composition. Straight down the outfall pipe. There's uprights on both sides, and then we have horizontals joining them. At the far end, on the distance, on the horizon in the distance, is a wind farm, which may or may not be there when I get the images on the big screen. I was hoping, intending even, to do colour. But I think this might actually go black and white. I'm at F30? No, F18. And 74 seconds, my longer exposure. F18 and 30 seconds for the shorter exposure. F18 and 74.1 to really smooth the water out. The only two filters I've got on are a 0.6, I'm going to hazard a guess it's a medium, and the polarizer, which I've got turned off because I wanted the water to go milky. And I thought that I'd cleaned my filter. Apparently I didn't do a very good job of it. Oops, never mind. I'm shooting landscape orientation. I'm actually at ISO 160. So I've now dropped down to ISO 100. Let's get F13. I've got it on timer. I am slap bang in the middle, debating whether that was a landscape orientation, debating whether I ought to do a portrait. Let's have a look, shall we? Twiddle the filters round. Do that. We're level. I want to move that up. I'm shooting on the 17 to 55. I'm having to be a bit careful because there's rocks between sort of the second upright and the third upright, and I really don't want them in. So I'm going to go for lots of sky on this one. Pull the filter down. For some reason the head on this tripod seems to be a bit back to front today. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I'm going to pull it out as far as I dare so that I don't get any of the rocks. I'm trying to make sure its central is a bit of a monkey, but let's have a go. There we go. Might be the smallest bit of cloning because the vertical posts seem to be pushed forward a little bit rather than being straight. I'm sure they're straight for something, but the right hand one seems to be pushed forward a little bit. So I'm going to do that. Now I've left that with the polarizer switched on, so the glare is off the water. The water is darker than the horizon. I think that's going to do. No. Oh, 30 seconds. That's why we had that up there. Let's go back up to... That's it. That's F20 and 25 seconds. Oh, I'm having to be a bit careful. I wasn't going to put my welly gogs on. And I thought, oh, I better do. I'm flipping glad I did, because I'm ankle deep in water here. And it's a little bit of a photographer's playground around here if you like sticks in water. We've got a gorgeous green marker, which did have a flashy light on it when I arrived. No, I'm not so keen on that. Let me do that one with the polarizer off. Make it slightly more minimal. And the sun's coming in, the sun is rising over that away, sort of behind me. And there's no cloud in the sky. I'm just being careful with the polarizer to make sure I don't get that horrible dark patch in the top of the screen. That's a fairly good compromise, that. Tilt it up slightly, because if I tilt up, then I can actually pull it out a little bit. I'm going to have a little bit of cloning to do. Very inconsiderate of them to make these things without having us photographers in mind and make everything level. It's very rude of them, I think. Anyway, yes, all a little bit of a rush to start with, because, as I say, I have a feeling the tide needs to be a 9 or a 10 metre to get this covered completely. What I'd hoped for was the water coming in and only sort of that much of the upright stuff showing. But I'm happy enough. We're beginning to get a little, a little band up there of what could almost pass for colour. Yes, I prefer that. So that, because the water's where it is about all I can do on that. So I'm going to have a swiggle around. There's quite a nice scene there. The temperature is 12 degrees. Yesterday was about 20 odd at home anyway, I don't know what it was here. But because there's been quite a difference in temperature, we're getting a little bit of mist on the water. We have an upright post here and a slanty chappie slanting over to the right with a little triangular top on him and a layer of mist. The downside is there is a headland in the background. I'll shoot it if I can get high enough to, or even actually if I drop down. What I'm conscious of is as it stands there, the red triangular top has got about an inch showing above the horizon. If I come down low, I can get it to clear the horizon, and we might pick up a little bit of that mist. Oh, there's lots of scenes. I quite like being at the coast. Did I mention that? So yeah, a little bit of a rush because I wanted to make sure I got that one. And that band of pastel is starting to show through a little bit more now. The moon's up there. But yes, I hope you've had a good week and not fried in the heat, because it's been a bit daft this week. Hope you're all looking after yourself. I shall come back to you when I was going to say perfected, but that makes it sound like I know what I'm doing, doesn't it? When I've got my next composition lined up. See you in a minute. That little band of colour is starting to come out, and now there's some contrails that are just starting to gather some colour as well, which is quite nice. Not where I want them to be, obviously, but hey, you can't have everything. Excuse me. So I tried that shot and I'm like, really not sure about that one. I think it's because we have the headland in the back and I'm not keen on that. So I've turned round, I've gone portrait orientation, and I've got 3 posts. I've got one really tall boring one, which is just a metal pole. Behind that, I've got a bright red one with a little red dome on it. And then behind that, another one, slightly less bright red and slightly lower. They're staggered in the height. God, this water is so calm. Yeah, so there's a slope as we go out onto the horizon. There are a few issues on the horizon in that I'm not sure if it's oil rigs or boats or if they're marker buoys. I think one of them's a marker buoy. I can see a light flashing on it. There's a ship in the horizon, so there's going to be a bit of cloning work to do there. I've stayed with my filters. I've got 0.6 medium, the 6 stop, and the polarizer. Again, I've got the polarizer turned off to try and minimise or to lose the reflections. I've turned it so that it's made the water milky as opposed to being able to see the water. That also helps to minimise the horizon line. Hope you're with me. And the way we're positioned, the first pole is just, it's got to be about, I don't know, 8 foot out of the water. The one behind it, the red triangular top, is just sitting on the horizon line, and it's actually shielding the marker buoy in the background that's got the flashy light on it. And then the third marker is just sitting, the red top is just below the horizon. So there's no cloning there to do. I'm not going to lose the horizon. I'm quite happy to keep that horizon because it is very minimal horizon. I've got the leftmost marker post on, thankfully nowhere near a dust bunny, just off the left third, and then they lead out, so I quite like that one. Well, I'm sort of a little bit further down the beach. When I was stood over there, I could see a sort of walkway and this, what looked like a black and white marker post. Excuse me, I'm just waiting for that tanker to get out of view. That's better. Right, I've set the composition up. I was just waiting for the tanker to go. I did an image as a test with him going through, but I've got a pale red streak going right the way through it, and that's not getting cloned out anytime soon. Oh, I know I've said it before, it is so calm. I've not been this far up the beach before. I had a feeling this was something to do with a marina or a boatyard, and it may have been at one point. There's a big jetty out to this wonderful marker post which is catching the sunlight, something wonderful. The sun hasn't quite broken over this hill yet, but it's casting some gorgeous light. And as I'm walking, I'm thinking, I'm going to walk along the path because walking along these pebbles is ankle breaking territory, and I thought, oh, I'm not fancying that today. And there's a lovely calm patch. I've got a gorgeous reflection, and I'm not sure if the reflection's picking up yet because I've been concentrating on just the walkway leading in from the right down to that marker post, which has actually got some support. They look like cables. They're too loose to actually be solid. I've plonked myself down, first exposure, or first composition should I say, second exposure, first composition. That was 129 seconds. Yeah, and I'll tell you something, when those boats go past, the wake that comes in is far greater than I would have expected. It's weird, this area here is really calm. Then you can see there's water coming in that way. It's bizarre, it sort of hits a patch at the end of the calm and it turns around and goes back out again. and you've got water going that way, and then in the distance, just before the sandbank, you've got water going that way. It's very strange. Well, I thought I'd finish off doing the massive, I mean, imagine how big that thing is. I've got to be a good mile, maybe a mile and a half away from it, and it's massive. And looking at it, there's quite a substantial walk to get around to it. I might see on Google Maps when I get home if there's a closer area over there, and see what else is over there. I'm not taken with this image. There's a few bits and pieces that are going to need sorting out. That's a little bit better. Because the tide is out, it's perched on a sandbank, which makes sense because it's obviously deterring ships from going anywhere near it. If you can't see that from the bridge of a ship, you really shouldn't be driving it. There's massive I didn't realise just how many sandbanks there were around here. Yeah. But the sandbanks are showing through some tut. I can't make out from the images what that tut is. There's one marker post which is leaning slightly into the right towards it, which is fine. But then there's a couple of things in the sand. I've no idea what they are. They could be marker buoys, but they don't look very good. And there's the odd bird, which isn't helping the cause. There's some nice light catching on the marker post. It's got a red cone top. Yeah, there's a red marker buoy, one of those rubbery ball type ones in the right hand corner. So there's a little bit of tidying up to do. There's a nice bank of cloud above it. I'm at f16 and that image was 87.5 seconds, and that's with the 10 stop. I just want to check focus. This thing's on a blimmin' hair trigger. The headland is too close to it, so I've had to position it on the right hand side. I think I'd prefer it on the left. I might flip it when I get it into post, but I didn't want the headland. At least I don't think I want the headland. I don't think it works. Well, I might take one with headlanding just for shits and giggles. And that's telling me it's level, but I'm not 100% convinced. Yeah, it's just off the right hand third. And that's it. I'm done. Honey, it's been a lovely morning. I might have mentioned that once or twice. So anyway, yes, thank you for coming along. I hope the images turn out. And if they turn out, I really hope you like them. Hope you have a great couple of weeks. Let's make the most of the British summertime, because it seems, fingers crossed, legs crossed, everything's crossed, that it has actually arrived now. And yes, I will catch up with you very soon. Have a good week, boys and girls. Toodaloo.